activity to pay for the very best legal defense of any SS killer hauled before a court, and in every way possible to stultify the course of justice in West Germany when it operates against a former Kamerad, to ensure former SS men establish themselves in commerce and industry in time to take advantage of the economic miracle that has rebuilt the country since 1945, and finally to propagandize the German people to the viewpoint that the SS killers were in fact none other than ordinary patriotic soldiers doing their duty to the fatherland, and in no way deserving of the persecution to which justice and conscience have ineffectually subjected them. In all these tasks, backed by their considerable funds, they have been measurably successful, and in none more so than in reducing official retribution through the West German courts to a mockery. Changing its name several times, the Odessa has sought to deny its own existence as an organization, with the result that many Germans are inclined to say the Odessa does not exist. The short answer is, it exists, and the Kameraden of the Death's Head insignia are still linked within it. Despite its successes in almost all its objectives, the Odessa does occasionally take a defeat. The worst it ever suffered occurred in the early spring of 1964, when a packet of documents arrived unannounced and anonymously at the Ministry of Justice in Bonn. To the very few officials who ever saw the list of names on these sheets, the package became known as the Odessa File. Chapter 1. Everyone seems to remember with great clarity what they were doing on November the 22nd, 1963, at the precise moment they heard President Kennedy was dead. He was hit at 12:22 in the afternoon, Dallas time, and the announcement that he was dead came at 1:30 in the same time zone. It was 2:30 in New York, 7:30 in the evening in London, and 8:30 on a chilly, sleet-swept night in Hamburg. Peter Miller was driving back into the town centre after visiting his mother at her home in Osdorf, one of the outer suburbs of the city. He always visited her on Friday evenings, partly to see if she had everything she needed for the weekend, and partly because he felt he had to visit her once a week. He would have telephoned her if she had a telephone, but as she had none, he drove out to see her. That was why she refused to have a telephone. As usual, he had the radio on, and was listening to a music show being broadcast by Northwest German radio. At 8:30, he was in the Osdorf Way, 10 minutes from his mother's flat, when the music stopped in the middle of a bar, and the voice of the announcer came through, taut with tension. Achtung! Achtung! Here is an announcement. President Kennedy is dead. I repeat, President Kennedy is dead. Miller took his eyes off the road and stared at the dimly illuminated band of frequencies along the upper edge of the radio, as if his eyes would be able to deny what his ears had heard, assure him that he was tuned into the wrong radio station, the one that broadcast nonsense. Jesus, he breathed quietly, eased down on the brake pedal, and swung into the right-hand side of the road. He glanced up. Right down the long, broad, straight highway through Altona, towards the centre of Hamburg, other drivers had heard the same broadcast and were pulling into the side of the road as if driving and listening to the radio had suddenly become mutually exclusive, which in a way they had. Along his own side he could see the brake lights glowing on as the drivers ahead swung to the right to park at the curb and listen to the supplementary information pouring from their radios. On the left, the headlights of the cars heading out of town wavered wildly as they too swung away towards the pavement. 2 cars overtook him, the first hooting angrily, and he caught a glimpse of the driver tapping his forehead in Miller's direction in the usual rude sign indicating lunacy that one German driver makes to another who has annoyed him. He'll learn soon enough, thought Miller. The light music on the radio had stopped, replaced by the funeral march, which was evidently all the disc jockey had to hand. At intervals he read snippets of further information straight off the teleprinter as they were brought in from the newsroom. The details began to fill in.